I'm saying is that when he talks about melanin on my mind, when he talks about a holistic philosophy, he's not only talking about it, he's doing it. So, without much more ado, can I release upon you? And you're saying, get out of the way, fat man. Release him. May I release upon you, Brother Charles Wsir Johnson. Is that black enough for you?
Hello. Welcome to this melanin morning. Oh, I should say Sunday morning. Actually, I'm talking about melanin morning. Sun, melanin, it's all the same. But it's melanin morning for us. What I would like to do today is give you some examples of some things. But before I do that, I want to give a slight poem from my mentor, because it was at a conference like this in '88 that I sat where you sat. And I listened. And I was in a particular field, but I had a real Eurocentric viewpoint. I had some black in me, but it wasn't coming out. So he just kind of brought it up, or as Nebuchadnezzar student said, it made me juicy. And I started putting juice on everybody after that. And so he wrote a book. It was called Color Me Right and Then Frame Me in Motion. And what the concept of the book was, he was the first brother I had met who was teaching at a university, was teaching black biology. I mean, how many of y'all have black biology? Ain't none of y'all got your hands up. So the question is, what do you know about yourself? So I want to start off to give my reverence to him with this poem, because this is what he believed. It says, today is the day that we're going to make black culture happen. Today is the day we're going to put all other things aside, and today we're going to go for some charcoal pleasures in our mind. I want to love you. I want to feel you, and wrap my kemet, my blackness, around you. I want to view you, squeeze you. I just can't get enough. And if you move with me real slow, I'll let my nectars go. I'm so excited, I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose Eurocentric control. And I think I like it. That was Malachi. First of all, I want to thank the Creator for allowing me to be here, and my mother, which the woman I came, it was for her that I would not be here, and my father, who gave that gene to put me in this space and time at this point in Manchester, UK. And I want to thank Paul and the whole group and the staff for putting on this conference, because this is hard work. We put on conference too, and it's hard work. There's a lot of involvement, a lot of staying up late at night, making sure things are right. Like I say, Brother Paul was going around, and all the groups, they were going around putting incense around to make sure that you was protected. That's deep. That's the things you don't see, but somehow you got to feel it. And so I want to thank Tim. I don't want to give them a hand. Please. What we're going to do today is be interactive. Y'all know what interactive is? Call and response. That whole thing. Okay, call and response. And interactive in relationship to computers, when you're in a computer, is, you put something, especially new programs, you put something in, you can have a dialogue. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. And what I need you to do for me is that we're going to get the concept of melanin down. So you'll say, damn, that's melanin. But this is what I want you to do for me. We're going to do a practice first, because I'm in fitness, so we're going to have to practice something. So what we're going to do, when I do this, you're going to say, melanin. Okay, so we're going to get a practice. So, okay, I want y'all to pay attention. So I'm going to do it one more time. What we got to do is stop melanin, because see, melanin got drowned out. Powerful what you did. So, hey, there you go. We're in the house now. You ever look at the speakers up there? What color are they? Oh, y'all better get it together. Y'all gonna have to get this together. I'm gonna say some of us lost some melanin. When you get this apple, you see this apple? What happens when you expose it, open it, and expose it to air, the color that it turns when oxygen hit it? And what we call this is, hey, there you go. A banana. What happens when you leave it out too long? Oh, I know, I didn't do this. We ain't playing Simon Says, we playing African Says. See, it's all segment, never cars in their fault, because when I went to that conference, I turned totally black. Everything got converted. So anyway, here's this banana. I won't hold my hands up too high, okay? Here's a banana, and when you open it up, or just leave it like it is and leave it out in the sun for a few days, what color does it turn? There you go. And we call that, hey, there you go. Y'all got it. All right. So what I'm going to do is just, so we can be clear about this stuff. I mean, take a look at the cheer. You know, take a look at, you know, I mean, just look around you as melanin. But I want you to do this first so we can be real clear in science. When you're throwing down some science to someone, we're going to do an experiment right now so you will never, ever say melanin doesn't give you vision. And I want you to do is to the person to your, everybody to the right or left, I want you to look at, let's do one area. Let's look left. Let's look right. No, I'm sorry. You're only going right brain thinking, I got to switch it back over to the heart. Because we love each other, so I want to go the opposite way. I want you to look in their eye, and you look in their eye and look and tell me what color that pupil is in their eye. You got to look, though. I said left. Y'all looking right. Now, if ain't nobody over there, you have to get up and go over there. You're going to have to move. This is exercise. This ain't no, you know, come to sit here and be cool. Oh, okay. What color is it? Hi. In your eye is what you see. Everybody. I don't care what race you're from. I don't care what color is your iris. You got to have a black pupil in your eye. And you're going to have to ask some questions about melanin. Why did God or the Holy Creator put something black in your eye so you can see? That's deep. That's heavy. You know what I'm saying? In order for you to get into your brain, you got to go through some blackness. If you don't have that pupil in your eye, you can't see. You might can see in other ways. You don't got melanin on the rest of your body and stuff. But I mean, you can't see. But before it gets to the brain, it has to pass another part of the brain called rods and cones. And believe it or not, and those rods is pigmented, and we call that. That's right. Look it up in your book. Ask your eye doctor next time you see it. Look at their chart. So what we're going to do, so we're a little bit clear about what melanin is on some level. But melanin, as we know it, means melas. It's come from the Greek term, means black. Okay, it means black. And when we talk about food and diet, the first thing you got to do is find out Where does melanin come from? Oops, I'm sorry. Y'all can read it. Never Carter said y'all can go to sleep, you still get it, so yeah, I know y'all can read that. So this particular lecture is about melanin, health, and diet. But first of all, the brother was talking about we got to use some science. So I'm going to kick down some science to you right now. So you to write down, I'm going to give you 2 formulas in order for your resurrection and your physical liberation. Okay? And the segment going to take you. I'm the forward of a book. You know what a forward of the book is? Okay, let me put it in terms we all know. You know what foreplay is? Before the action. Now we know what a forward is. I'm for the master. Okay, now we got that straightened out. AE equal V minus O. We got to do some diop. You said you got to have some math. African energy equal vitality minus 0, or O. I don't want, can anybody for the $1 million melanin question tell me what O is? Unless y'all came down here sound like notes. The clue, I'll give you a clue. If you believe in things you do not understand, you will suffer. Who was that great philosopher? Right, Stevie Wonder. Y'all were reading Descartes and all these other things in your school, but I got different philosophers. I use Stevie Wonder because he told, if you believe in things you don't understand, you will suffer. And what's the next line after that, you know? Superstitious might be your game. So what are you superstitious of? Melanin, as we know it, doesn't live in a vacuum. It's everywhere. Why? The color of your tires is what? Why aren't they green? Why is your TV set the color it is before light hits it? Like your eye, you can't see unless you come through blackness. Melanin, okay? Why is it that the brother's camera is black? I mean, they could have made a blue camera, but they choose to make it black. Because what we're going to do at this conference is that people will come in, it's like a photo session is what we're doing. You come in negative about your melanin because you don't know nothing about it. And you got to go into the dark room to have color. And then you become positive. That's what's going to happen today. You will become positive from a negative viewpoint. Melanin doesn't live in a vacuum. Okay. Actually, I just do it here. It's in in our biological systems that we'll talk about throughout the day. It's in the environment, as we mentioned, the plants. As a matter of fact, I don't know about these plants. It's photosynthesis, but these plastic, no, they're not plastic. They can fool you like that. It might be green, just like the brother said the other day. People around black, but they ain't really black. They're like plants are the same way. You got fake plants, and they ain't no real plants. They just plastic. So anyway, in genetics, evolution, and that's tied into your central nervous system. And the sister will go a little bit deeper into that, but ultimately we got to talk about where our mind is at. Where is your mind? Some people say you're out of your mind. And then some people will say, where's it at? You don't know where it's at. You got a brain as a conduit, as a transistor, but you can't say where it's at. It is housed somewhere in your central nervous system, which is bathed in melanin. And ultimately, you can get cultural information. What we're doing here. I call this vitamin A, vitamin Africa. Okay? This is a vitamin you cannot play. When you read a book, don't you feel good about African history? You read a biography about somebody great, that is a vitamin. And I'll talk about that later. And ultimately, between these two, and you understanding what the black dot is, you will either be in a disease state or optimum health. Depending on what your viewpoint is. Okay? If your cultural information is off, you'll be somewhere in a disease state. If this is all off, you'll be in a disease state. And what we're trying to do is pull you down here into optimal health. So I'm going to give you the formula now. Melanin, health and diet. African vitality. Here's it is done in a different one. AV equal P minus O. African vitality equal power minus obstruction. And you can't, everybody wants energy. I mean, that's what the field I deal in. Everybody says, God, I'm just so tired, I need energy. I said, maybe you need to go read some African history. Instead of taking all of them pills and stuff you've been taking, maybe you need to, try to sleep well, get your melatonin hooked up right, and read some African history. African vitality equal power minus obstruction. And you can't have no power if you ain't got no African vitality. What is it? Obstruction. And you can have no power with an obstructive viewpoint of who you are, somebody defining your body as ugly. You cannot have no power. And I said, if you notice this thing I did here, I don't know if y'all saw this, is African vitality equal power minus obstruction minus this obstruction. That's Europe. Because I can't get no vitality. I'm trying to get some energy. I want to show you one slide with this. Because somebody's obstructing your viewpoint on a lot of different levels. This is just one slide, but I want you to take a look at it. This is out of a magazine, the Smithsonian Institute. And I don't know if you can read the bottom. Some people can't read the bottom, so I'll read the bottom there. It's basically a black cat in an advertisement, and it says, black can also mean good fortune. Now, this is the Smithsonian Institute, and guess what they're advertising? Johnny Walker Black Label. I want y'all laughing at it. Well, on my way here, did y'all see? Y'all have a billboard up, and it says, dark, black death. And it's a vodka with this European at the bottom, but it's called Black Death. Same thing, it's a programming that's very subtle. Okay, Black Death. So anyway, black can also mean good fortune. So if you got an obstructed viewpoint of who you are, you're gonna say yes. Black can, it ain't saying it is, it said it can be good, have good fortune. When somebody decided it's good fortune. That's what they decided is when it's good fortune. Okay. So what are we talking about? Almost fell asleep. All right, so I'm going to do a little Friends for Nine. Said every African people need to answer 3 questions. And you see what they are, real basic. Who am I? That's been what the object of the conferences are. We always got to keep defining who we are. But I'm going to do it in the respect of melanin and our biological definition of who we are. Because you don't know who you are, because when y'all have biology, I know y'all use white rats. And I'm going to give you the melanin tip of the research question today, as Diop would. What's the difference between a black mice and a white mice in laboratory clinical trials? That's something I got to leave with you to find. Because this research got to continue, and then you got to tell someone else. Who am I is to know and live one's history and practices. Second is, am I really who I am once I define who I am? It's like the sister asked yesterday, how can this brother be African-centered and be whooping on somebody else? They ain't answer that question. Am I really who I am? If you got this information and you ain't using it, am I really who I am? And then after that, am I all I ought to be? Once I know who I am, and then I define who I really am. But where am I in your biology books? Where am I in your nutrition books? And where am I in your psychology books? I got to know what my behavior is. in order for me to get through this thing. Okay, so we're going to go with the first question. We're going to go with the first question. Who am I? What is culturally rooted and foreign. Most of us have the genetics in that area from West Africa. Okay, we are from all over the place, but they have defined through genetics that most of us have West African genes. That's the reason why most of y'all lactose intolerant. Y'all can't even digest milk. Okay, and that's because there was a tsetse, well, I'll go into that later, but there was a tsetse fly that rendered the cows a sleeping sickness. So for a long time, you could not find any milk in West Africa. So you develop a genetic selection, meaning that you would develop a system in which if I don't need it, I'll switch over to something else and get my calcium. Okay? But anyway, it was less affected by glaciation, meaning that there was very little ice age in Africa. When it was ice age in Africa, it probably was raining a little bit in Africa. In particular, it probably got colder as you head toward certain parts of East Africa where there's large mountains, where you got the tip. So there probably was some snow there, but it wasn't covered by snow like in Europe. And we had abundant sunshine, okay? Abundant sunshine. We're talking about England, aren't we? High average temperatures. And when you combine, and between the abundant sunshine and high average temperature, you wore less clothes. You wore less clothes. Now we're wearing more clothes. We're getting less sun. What's happened to that melanin? Because there's a function for it and there's a reason for it. But between the sunshine, the vegetarian dry and wet season, you develop certain diseases will pop up. They're conducive to that. But what would happen is it was a paradise for diseases. For those folks who lived in Africa, you had to develop a genetic defense against those diseases. And one of them would be malaria and sickle cell. Sickle cell is one of the ways in which a sickle cell trait allows a person not to develop a certain malaria, okay? But it was a defense against a disease. So you start, based off your environment, you start developing certain genetic traits to say, I'm different on some level, okay? Yellow fever, hookworm, those are just some of the things. And then within that disease, you had traditional healers, and they were the guardians of remedies and the rites and herbs and roots. And there was a selective advantage to be in that environment, and one of them is, there you go. Could you be European and live in Africa in the inception of the humankind? Y'all ain't read Diop's book. No. Diop said, had we lived, humankind have found themselves, the original fossils and stuff been in Europe, we would have been all right. But at this point, that wasn't the case. This is our environment. Could we have been selected, so can you have been selected being European and live in Africa in the inception of humankind? No. Okay, you be clear, it's okay. Ain't nobody got no camera on you. Just say no. I mean, if you don't believe me, everything I got, you can look it up. Okay? Now, you can get skin cancer, that's one. Melanoma. Melanoma burns the skin and creates cancer. You absorb the light in the skin. The light and the sun. Okay? And it does things to you like make you look fine. You don't age as fast because of melanin. Melanin grabs the negative rays or the free radicals, and free radicals are, those things in the sun that might come down and they're harmful, and that's what cause cancer in Europeans. But those things that don't cause cancer, we grab them, take them in our skin, convert them into vitamin D, shift it through our livers, shift it through our liver, kidneys, and put it down in our gut. and allows us to literally have a higher uptake of calcium. And so what does that mean with osteoporosis? When they say black women need calcium, not all black people, not all women need calcium. We don't bend over at 80 years old. We don't have that problem. So when they say in your books, you need more calcium, you got to say, who are they talking about? Who am I? That's the question. Okay? If I didn't have melanin, let me tell you that we got to go to sex again tonight. Why is it that your sexual organs are the darkest part of your body? You ain't got to look right now, but I mean, y'all know. Y'all know. But why? Like your eye, right? Like your eye, that you have to have a black dot in order to get some information through. Why is it that the Creator put the melanin on your sex organs, on even the mere fact of the breast, the forehead, the face, and the lips? And that's because in this kind of environment, basically what happens is the sun's hot and a baby get on the nipple, it's going to burn his lips. If his lips wet and dark, it absorbs light. This is the difference between African people and melanin and the upholstery in your car. I don't know if it gets hot enough here for your upholstery to get hot. I don't know. But when you have black upholstery and the sun hit it and you get in your car, it's hot. The difference is that you absorb that light and use it for other things. So you absorb this heat, and it changes certain functions in your body. Okay? So anyway, so the breast is one of them. So can we do another slide? And I want to show you some basic concepts just in your environment that we need to know. Okay, so we need to do I put this in my book, Weight Loss for African Americans. Although I said African Americans, it really dealt with the issue of diaspora Africans. Because no matter where we go, if you in Greenland or wherever you at, you're going to have to talk about an African perspective. So don't get fooled by it says Americans over there, because y'all Buka people. Yes. Doc told me I was Busa. We all got to belong to something. You can't be going around and say, oh, I'm from the UK, I'm Irish. Oh, well, I don't know why. That doesn't sound right when it comes out of black people and say, oh, I'm British. No, you Buka, Black United Kingdom African. You got a new name. Self-determination. You have a right to name your own names. Okay. Segment is the first time I heard that was Segment. She said, we Busa, Black United States African. When I was in South Africa, they asked you where I was at, they asked me where I was from. They asked me if I was from a certain culture. And I didn't know what to say. So I just said Busa. Oh, okay. When I said America, where I was at in the rural area, they didn't understand. But you just like, when your relatives, they say, who's your mama, boy? Your relatives will ask who your mama is. But I figure I'm Busa, you Buka, but we all melanated and we need a new flag. So anyway, on the focus. So what I did is I said, there's a circle we need to deal with here. What we first are doing now is call it the Kuchi-Chakalia chart, self-determination. Okay? First, we have to adopt and confirm that you are biologically and culturally and genetically linked to the continent of Africa. This is where we're going to go with this lecture. And then we'll move into when you uncover the research richness of your spiritual, cultural, and political past, you'll sense the power to happen. So what you know about melanin and what you know about your history, I'll start walking like this. My mentor taught me that. But you know what I mean? Before, I'm walking around, everything's cool and everything. But you got to say, I'm black because I got something in me that make me want to walk that way. Where did that walk come from? I ain't self-help. And then you go into to act upon those healthy activities to promote optimum health without sacrificing your cultural awareness. Once I know who I am, you should be able to go out to that gym, go out for a walk, go in and eat your food without people saying, well, why are you doing that? Because I'm black. That's all you got to say. You ain't got to ask no explanation. They go, oh, okay. Then we go to self-preservation. We got to know after that, know how to protect, maintain a healthy lifestyle in mind, body, and spirit to conserve our culture for those in the past, present, and those yet to be born. That's where we should be at. On this level, there's a cycle, and then we just cycle it this again. So when you have new kids, we got to cycle it this whole thing process again. But you can't tell nobody, you can have nobody tell you your body is ugly, although they have defined that. Oops. So when I see this versus that other picture, I get turned on. I don't know about y'all, because if y'all saw a sister walk down the street like that, y'all probably be looking the other way. I know you would, because she'd be standing on the bus corner. And he said, look at that sister with all them things around her head and all that stuff. You better go up there and ask her what she knows. She might know something. But this is the level of, when I deal with images and body images, we wouldn't understand that, even here right now. You say, God, what if something's happening here? How come she got all this stuff on her? But this is our culture. So when somebody tell you this is ugly, not in the context of a conference, but just on a daily basis. Some of y'all wear African clothes only at African conferences. You walk in your bank, the local Barclays Bank, they won't even blow up the bank until you get out of there. They said, no, blow that up, she's in there, or he's in there with that African clothes, something's gonna happen to me. So y'all might be protected in England. Oops. This is a picture from 1830, and we should wear our hair on a level. You know, we had a hookup a long time ago. Ain't no new styles. It's what you feel, and Sister talked about the intuition and melanin and following. They talked about that yesterday. Following how you feel, you come up with different styles yourself. I bet you ain't never seen. Now, if you had a hairstyle like that, that brother with the fork at the top, y'all say, boy, that brother's deep. Y'all would. I know you would. Okay. So the next one. The next thing we need to know is, who am I physiologically? In that environment, we know where we came from, we know the temperature, we know all of that. So what body is produced in an environment like that? You will find the first thing is, hey, there it is. Okay, in that environment you cannot produce, you did not produce, but actually you cannot be European and live in Africa and not have melanin. Even if a European go to Africa, they literally would do, everybody got melanin is to the extent and to the degree that we have it, that we would take that sun and it would blacken up. Okay? But in that environment, you would have larger sweat pores. More sweat pores. Actually, 638 more sweat pores than a European. Because think about it, it's hot. You're going to be sweating. If I was in Europe, that's not the case. This is Europe. I don't even think I sweat here. Hey, I am not kidding you. I just ran 3 miles for the last 2 days. I just got up and ran. I broke a little sweat when I got in the heat in my room. My hands were still frozen. So anyway, in that environment, larger pores are very important because of sweat. Because in that environment, in sweat, there's electrolytes. There's certain potassium, sodium, and chloride in sweat. Over the period of time, if you live in an area like that and without no water, your body will develop an adaptation to hold on to sodium. Okay? It will hold on to sodium for a longer period of time. So what will happen is that there's a research to show they took somebody European, somebody African, same diet, education, all this stuff, and they checked their urine after eating, and African people excreted less sodium every time. So that means there might be a lot of people in here that's sodium sensitive. So when you do add salt on your table, You might not even have to add no salt and develop hypertension. So I'm just giving you some genetic basis. There's some other things with that, but there's a genetic basis for also cutting back salt and sodium, okay? Because it wasn't in your diet. They did research in the slave records. They did the research on how much salt was going out and in from East Africa to West Africa. And they found out the major salt that we ate in that environment was vegetable salt. So everybody's coming back to Africa in their diet. Well, let's go get some vegetable salt. You think, oh, well, European made something. No, you always had vegetable salt. It's high in potassium, magnesium. Those are the things they give you if you got hypertension and some other drugs and stuff. Your broad nose. Okay, in an environment like that, it will allow you to actually bring in more of the humidity in that nose to get to your lungs. Versus the European, in that environment in which they live, which was cold, you would develop you would develop a different nose, because what happened is you would want to heat the air before it gets to the lungs under cold weather. Okay? Nothing funny about it, it's just a genetic difference, that's all. And we look at melanin, the difference between Europeans. If you went to Europe and you lived them thousands of years under no sun, under the ice age, what will happen, your skin has to lighten up. It has to, in order to get vitamin D. That's the reason when you see them got pink rolls, they made it a beauty thing. But that was an adaptation. When you're wearing all kind of clothes, your hair's covered, the only thing is your face is out, your skin would get thin here and you would see the blood vessels, because that allows you to grab the vitamin D. It's just an adaptation to your environment. So ultimately, Europeans are Africans. Okay? They just stayed away from home too long. They didn't call home. That's what we said yesterday. In that environment, you would have more lean muscle tissue. When the sun hits your skin, you literally will have more muscle tissue on you. The picture she showed, I'm over 40. I'm actually 43. And I entered a bodybuilding contest last November, and I won this championship of people over 40. And all I did was lay out in the sun. Believe it or not, there was a little sun. In California, we still get sun in November. Okay. And what I did is I did an experiment. All I'm going to do, I'm going to show you that diet later on. Because the thing is, I had to strip the body fat, but I couldn't lose no muscle. But the thing is, because we have more lean muscle tissue, the sun is a conduit for that. So some people say, you want to lose some fat, get in the sun. What, don't I want to take this pill? No, get in the sun. That might help. But another thing about lean muscle tissue and sun and your skin pigment. When the sun hits your skin, the melanin molecules grab it. In order to make vitamin D, it has to use the cholesterol up in between your skin. That's how you make steroids. You make it from cholesterol. So vitamin D is actually a hormone. It ain't just a vitamin. They call it the vitamin hormone. Look it up in your nutrition book. Everyone will say it's a vitamin hormone. It's not just a vitamin. Okay? In there, your metabolism will be different. When I said European is 13-20% higher, they did a research. And all the research I look at, there'll be some black folks in it. You see what I'm saying? When you start doing research, and what they were clear on me was, I said, look at this research, Dr. Segment, she says, well, who wrote it? Was there any black folks in it? Because it will make a difference in the research, and what you will find is staggering information that they have not given you. That's what you need to teach it in your biology class. Ain't got time. Okay? So what they found in metabolism is that when you're under light and heat, your metabolism slows down. You don't want to eat as much. Okay? You don't eat as much. So your metabolism slows down. Over thousands of years again, genetic adaptation, you find that they found in research, they took somebody African, European, and they literally said, okay, let me check their metabolism. You do it by sitting, standing, and lying. That's how they measure it. That's how they give you diets. They said, based off your metabolism, just how many calories you should have. Well, who they using? Okay? And what they find is that Europeans' metabolism was 13 to 20% higher. And I think that might be one of your keys why they can be walking around here in shorts and T-shirts while it's cold as hell in England. No, it's a biological process. I mean, I come from their ancestors, but I'm not here to really get into talking about them, because what happens is they found in research that their blood system comes up to the skin surface faster than yours. So if we taking two people walking down the street in this weather, we would say it's cold, but somebody gonna get pneumonia and somebody ain't. I'll let you guess who it is. Then under that same condition, remember I was talking to you about sun hitting your skin, goes through in your blood, grabs this cholesterol, goes to your kidneys, your liver, and what happens, it lodges in your intestines, and it helps with the uptake of calcium. And that's the reason you have denser bones. So when I did the study, started talking about having people lose weight, they said, who weight scale you using? How much you supposed to weigh? Shoot, if I got thicker bones and got more muscle, I'm gonna weigh heavier. Okay, so the question is, so sisters be and brothers be going into the doctor's office and they say, well, you're supposed to be weighing 132. Sister, what? Forget it. I'm fine as I am. Okay. Real interesting thing that I just found out in the book that I put in there was high HDL at birth. Meaning that I don't know quite why yet, but I am working on it, but when you were born, you are born with higher HDL. That's the good cholesterol. You are born with higher HDL. And what happens as the more weight you put on, body fat, not weight, forget weight, we're throwing weight out the window. But what happens is you reduce your natural HDL. You reduce your natural HDL. This is black folks. Because the research, it's always, everything I say, you can say. You can't never say to me, well, I said, was some black folks in it? Yeah, you know it was. I'm telling you, because that's the way I work. Rats got to have some color. Chickens got to have color. Somebody got to have some color. Okay, so anyway, this was some basic concepts of the environment in which we live. Who am I still is the question. Who am I nutritionally? Okay, under this same environment, I got this physiology, I got this melanin, and all of a sudden now, what was our historical diet? And they always got to go back to hunter-gatherers. I put it, if you know the difference, I put gatherer-hunters. In most of your books, it says hunter-gatherers, because the European came to Africa, and their big thing was hunt big animals. But sister, if it weren't for the sister, all of us wouldn't be here, because most of the vegetables, 80% vegetables, that they pick from 238 different vegetables. That's the kind of knowledge that we got to have about food to move to that level. So when we talk about the tsetse fly are in the cattle, sleeping sickness. But meat was a small part of the diet. I'm not advocating you to get rid of meat. I'm saying you got to watch the meat you're eating, especially in the UK. Because the cows ain't mad. It's the people who was feeding those cows those sheep that was mad. But they put it on an animal, when they want to tear up something, they blame it, they just, anyway. And if we did eat meat, it was 3 to 5% fat, versus the fat you eat now is 40% fat to 50% fat. And what's real interesting about that is that the mere fact that the cows that they have studied in Africa that eat on natural grass have the omega-3 oils in it. Now you go out and buy omega-3 oils. Omega-3 oils are basically a supplement supposed to help and boost, you're supposed to prevent cancer. But what happened, it naturally had that in there. But what happens is when you take a cow or any animal and move it to some of the fed grain by man, and do it by hay, it loses. No urban animal have any omega-3 acids in it no more. Okay, that tells you real long that you got to check out what you're eating. So more sun equals less fat. The more sun you have in an environment, less fat you're going to have. I'll testify to that for the mere fact of being living in the rural area of Africa and the urban area of Africa. It's two different. When you move to the urban area, you're going to eat more bad things, blah, 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 blah. In the rural area, you might find big people, but there's less fat. That's the difference. I ain't saying you're supposed to look like this. I'm saying is that if you, whatever weight you is cool if it doesn't give you problems. Okay? Because it's your health, your heart, and your lungs is what's important. Anyway, in that diet, the fiber was 68%, since the diet was 68% vegetables, it was 45 grams versus 13 grams in the United States of fiber. So fiber was higher. So that means less cancer. If there was less meat that would stay in your colon, there's less cancer, less picture fusion, the whole thing. And anyway, we talk about vegetable and slide salts itself. Now, we move to the next question. Am I really who I am? Since I know who I am physiologically, I know in my environment, I know what my structure and what the whole thing is about now. I'm kind of little clear about who I am. Now the next question is, am I really who I am? No. Y'all live in England. I'm living in the United States. We're in the environment in which we should be. That's really healthy for you. Okay? Some of y'all can't take the sun no more. Y'all be going, oh, it's too hot. I mean, I grant you, it's hot. We all been programmed. We all got acculturated in this environment. But you got to be reacculturated. Because I got a theory about the ozone layer. And that is, you better watch out for those jobs that's going to come up outside. They will be all in a new environment. They will say, there's new jobs, $25 an hour, $50 an hour. And people going to say, well, I'm going to quit my job inside. I'm going out. I want to be outside anyway. They already know those ones coming out. And then it's going to switch. They inside, you outside again. It could change. So you better watch out for them new jobs. Anyway, it's hard to be who I am because there's forced acculturation. The forced acculturation to the dominant group norms. And I was telling the sister the other day, by the mere fact, vitamin D is an example. In the United States, they put vitamin D in milk. Okay. Now, since I'm lactose intolerant, did they put that in there for my purpose? No. I'm saying whoever controls whoever person that controls your biological environment controls your food. And they would use research based off their biology. And their clinical trials is based off their biology. So besides, I'm just dealing with the biology. There's a whole psychological realm of that. But I'm dealing with just the biology part of it. So we do have to take a holistic approach. It ain't just one thing. It's all of it. So name and belief systems. I don't care if you're from the Caribbean on that side, this side, where you at, and you got Caribbean speaking English, but y'all all ain't speaking African. You know what I mean? There is no language. And there might be some things I can't even express in the way I like to express because I don't have the language to say it. You know, if you take somebody from another country and they say, I just don't know that word. That whole other word could have a whole new meaning. So you say that in a way you understand. So the white supremacy becomes symbolic in your foods. And this was my pet peeve and how I deal with it in my book. And I say, y'all still using sugar, and what color is it? If you're using bread, I seen that bread over at that place. What color is it? No, it ain't. No, you gotta ask them for wheat bread, whole wheat bread. There's a difference between saying that wheat bread and whole wheat bread. Whole wheat means you got some wheat. Wheat bread means they put some color to make it look like wheat. Okay, but I try to teach people the differences. There's a difference of what color is your plate, majority of your plates in your house. You ain't got no black plates. Your sister, she got some black plates. I know you all ain't got no black plates in your house. That was a strategic move to switch you from thinking that color had any power. And food is something you do every day. So I suggest, I don't care if you got China or not. All right, these plates worth $30. Europeans got you buying China at $40 a plate and it's all white. That's just deep to me. And you don't even eat out of them every day. You work more than that plate, and you save it for somebody else. So get you some black plates, because I teach from the table. I teach my kids, and in Africa, ultimately, you get taught from the land. I can teach sex from the land. I can teach everything based off the colors and the concepts of the land that I know. Okay, so get you some black plates. Well, I should talk about solutions later. But anyway, but that's where the stint of white supremacy is. I got to change in your mind that the color black is not good on your food. But black plates cost more. Y'all better check it out. So, am I really who I am? No, because there's some biological ignorance here. Yesterday and today. One of the biological ignorance is anthropology in England. Anthropology started in England by this guy named Hunt. If y'all get this book, I found this book before I came here. It's called Color, Class, and the Victorians. And it talks about how anthropology actually started. And it talks about who was the major players in that. And the things that they would say. And in this chapter, it's called Scientific Racism and Racial Attitudes. And there was a paper this guy wrote, a section of anthropology, it's called On the Negro's Place in Nature. Now this is scientific, they just want the science part to try to define who you are as ugly. And basically, I forbear to criticize because the only appropriate phraseology would not be for me to utter or for you to hear. Okay, in spite of the support of the North during the American Civil War and for the Jamaica Committee in the prosecution of Governor Erie, Huxley was not committed to equalitarian and racial matters. Huxley did not think the average black could not equal the white and further doubted if he could equal opportunity of an African. The African would be able to couldn't complete successfully with a bigger brain, smaller jaw rival, and a contest which is to be carried only in thoughts and not by bites. It said you can't think, you can bite something, but you can't learn nothing. Okay? The highest places in the hierarchy of civilization will be assuredly not be within reach of our dusky cousins, though it is not by means necessary that they should be restricted to the lowest level. Now what's interesting about this guy, he wasn't a real racist. The super racist was before him who started the organization. He was debating this guy, saying you can't tell if black folks was crazy and all that stuff. But this is what he said. He said, okay, but we ain't equal. You know, our brains are still bigger and all of that stuff. So they talk about brain size. And in the United States, in the medical industry, they said because black folks, you have a smaller brain lobe, you had more heart disease. More heart disease because your physiology was so different from theirs. It said you had heart disease. So it was the medical industry that set this thing up. And in a book called Dye, Disease, and Racism, looking at the United States, they talked about that pork. Why was pork so popular? I debate pork for this reason, not because it's a religious viewpoint, that's your thing. But pork, they're saying that pork was the most ailment to the Negro. To give him pork was like living on hell on earth. Giving him beef might cause a revolt. Not deep. This is what we're talking biological ignorance. Okay? Okay, can I have a slide, please? Anyway, I'm going to stop for a minute, and our brother has an announcement that he needs to make.
Okay. Many thanks for that, brother.
Okay, so we know this is where we're going. So the next step is that we got to take our own viewpoint of Africa itself and the environment in which we're at. And we need to overlook our environment, be it that it's mountains and plains and green or high plains. There's a difference in those two. whether it's less green or it's in a flat, plain lands, okay? Oh, let me turn. Yeah. Okay, this is South Africa. This is where I want to go back to. This is where I lived at for a period of time. My wife and my daughter, my son lived here. But anyway, this is another story, but this is where they want to keep you out of. This is free land in South Africa for all black folks. They don't talk about it. But anyway, so what do we do outside? So we're in the sun. We got this physiology. We eat these grains and all this stuff. We was creative outside. We tattooed and beautified ourselves outside. We actually made instruments outside. And our kids, as this conference speaks of, played outside. You know what I mean? Where do your kids play at? Can they just be naked and play without saying, ooh, look at that? They playing naked. It ain't even about that. And then we got to take a look at this thing and be clear what we're looking at. Okay, I'm going to turn the slide back over. And then quickly I run through here. And so even today, they do not know about your body. I just want to have you follow a path here to say they still do not know even from that inception of time. Biological ignorance today, so that means because we have this biological ignorance, we have higher lung cancer, we have higher heart disease, and a lot of other major disease that's coming, and diseases we never had before we got here. Now, one of the causes of that is that there's no black representation in clinical drug trials. This is out of the medical industry. They're very seldom that they use black folks in research when they administer you drugs. So when you get drugs, you say, God, this don't feel right, I don't want to take it, blah, blah, blah. You need to go back to your doctor and say, look, this ain't working right. Did you see this report? Because in the report I was looking at, they told doctors, if you're dealing with African people, they could have some of these issues, especially hypertension, blood retention, and that whole thing. Water retention. If I give you water pills to release all this water, I might be releasing a lot of valuable nutrients. Now they call them potassium-sparing hypertension drugs because they had to take you in consideration. Even in my own field, fat calipers. When you go to the gym and they're going to take these calipers out and measure your body fat, there's a difference in that. Literally, I give you the references of these things that I'm saying is in the book. They're all read. There's 100 references in there about your body. And even that's different. So depending on what gym you go to and who's taking your body fat, it could be wrong. And this is a wide, large survey that they did of the difference between Europeans and Africans. And the Genome Project, which I want to show you a slide, and DNA research. So even today, when they say the Genome Project is about mapping the human gene, so we can the brother was talking about biological, the whole concept, biological engineering. They can say, can we make some drugs so we can cause certain problems? The question is, are we there? So when we talk about melanin, there's in that environment in which we live, is that just the cellular, just to show you the difference. Everybody has melanin, but look at the bottom part. That's what you will reach when you find those black folks like us. What would happen is they would fill up those melanocytes because you got where the melanin come from? They come from melanocytes, okay, and then in there you have the melanosomes. Okay, and we can talk about that later. But I just want to give you some physical differences here. And as you go up, as the top part is probably European. And it's just a cell within a melanocyte to show you the difference. So that means you cover more area, you can grab more light itself. Yeah, man's bad, huh? I was just some say, Stone melanin. Broad nose, thick lips. That's us. They ain't no use changing it. And you can't have nobody telling you was ugly. Michael didn't care. But like the brother said, I admire Michael. At least he know who he want to be. I ain't got no problem. Just come out front at me, you know. And then the keloids, even keloids is a melanogenesis process where it actually goes and try to grab that scar and wants to protect it. So when you get a scar or when you fall down and get a scar on your elbow, what color is it? There you go. And this brother, that one I use this as demonstration, says, he ain't in no gym. He ain't working out. He ain't got all the contraptions we got. And we could be lean and mean. Okay? And he wasn't posing. He was just, one of those photographs, Checking it out. Now the difference is, the next step is that we have to say we like it. Hey, you can't be going around. They don't even make pants for you. That's why your pants don't fit. That's one reason why you should be wearing African clothes. The important thing is here, is she mad or is she happy? She's smiling. She said, I like this. I'm sure the brother behind her was saying, that's cool too. But anyway, the thing is that's part of our biology. There ain't nothing wrong with when you, Europeans call it statipigia in anthropology. They call it statipigia. But this is the archetype body type of an African woman. Basically small waist, big thighs and hips. You okay? That is our type. Where do you see this? In your biology book or your nutrition books or your fitness books. They said everything else that's not this is ugly. Okay? So who's going to start manufacturing with new pants? So this is, you can't see this. This is basically some bones that show you different osteoporosis. On the far right-hand side, they took people who had rickets. And rickets happens when you don't get enough sunlight and you don't get enough vitamin D. Your body will start, your bones will start bending. That's the reason why you bend at 70 years old. Europeans, that is. Okay? That's the difference right there. This is just difference in bone types. Oops. And here it is again. In an archetype statue that they even found in Europe, this is what they found. So you know the statue got to be us. I mean, I see some European body types. I mean, I deal with, bodies, but they don't look like that. And just recently was just in the paper about the whole situation about the Cone woman and the whole thing, which is a sad story. They were so fascinated with this sister that the Europeans brought her to Europe and put her in a museum. And all these Europeans wanted to make love to her because they figured she had a secret. So anyway, I don't think it was. Okay, so let's go into the next. It's only a few more. Okay, am I really who I am? Nope. If I knew who I was, it'd be all these heart disease, cancer, lupus, things we have never gotten before. We're now picking them up. Like lupus is a neurological disease. High arthritis, eczema, all those are symptoms of that. We are picking up uterine fibroid tumors that are at a highest rate. It has changed. There's something going on. And somebody know what it is, and I think it's in Nottingham somewhere. They must know. Anyway, and then the question is what food program are you on? Are you on the United States program? You on Europe program? You on Japanese program? And have you ever heard of an African program? You ain't never heard of no African diet. The less melanated the country, the higher rate of heart disease. That's the truth. All you have to do, because in cold weather you eat more fat. And as we get to the end of saying, am I all I ought to be? I need melanin knowledge, because melanin can be either cytotoxic or cytoprotective. Melanin can either take you out or protect you. And we talked about one reason that you don't age as fast, because melanin is trying to protect you. Okay, if a person's on crack, look at the skin pigment of a person on crack as they start losing all of this weight. They blacken up. Because melanin wants to protect, like that apple, like that orange I did. It wants to protect death. Even your heart will get blacker. As you get older, that's what happens. We need more sunlight. How you going to get that in England? Lifestyle, fitness, and diet we need to deal with. We need to take a holistic approach. And then the big question is the cost-benefit ratio. That's what I run into more often. What is the cost versus the benefit? And vice versa. What is the benefit and the cost I have to pay to get to keeping myself being beautiful? When you start saying, I ain't got time to exercise, somebody got you running. Because they want to keep you sick so you can work and keep taking cold medicine so you can go to work. You know how cold medicine was developed based off the mere concept to keep you working. When you got a cold and virus, you're supposed to stay home. You have the flu. The best thing they tell you to do is stay home and ride. You're too scared. So they make some drugs for you to go to the store and buy so I can keep going to work. Because when you all of a sudden, if you croak tomorrow, your employer will say, she was nice, he was cool, but next. And if you think about it in that reality, then you can say, I better get up in the morning because I got something I want to get out of this job so much so I can get out of here. That's ultimately where you need to go. So people got issues. You got hair issues, you better change your hair. I did the survey. Sisters didn't exercise who had straight hair because the stuff would go back to Africa. You know, I mean, if sister would run and say, well, I can't sweat too much because I got to get next to the fan because my head going to get hot and Africa going to creep back up on you. Hey. The brother mentioned that yesterday. And then we mentioned there's something about genetics and hair. Curly hair, nappy, cool hair, kept me cool in Africa, is a dominant gene. This is in physical anthropology. You go look it up. It's a dominant gene. Straightening your hair become a mutated state. That's what it wants to go back. But then when people process it too long, your hair starts falling out. So how can that be a benefit? You just got to look at yourself as beautiful. This is an example of some of the, Actually, I just got to read it to you. I didn't put it on the slide. But even today, this is actually 1976. But in this report, it says problems in nutritional assessment of black individuals. They don't know how to assess your diet because you have smaller birth weight, you have smaller size at birth, greater advanced skeletal development, advanced dental development, larger skeletal mass, bone density, and a lesser rate of bone loss in black females. So what are you giving your kids if they are growing fast? And the skeletal muscles wants to elongate, and their muscles is growing. Or who's doing the poisoning? The sister said it yesterday. We have to turn and look at ourselves. What were you feeding our kids? Oh, you happy because they got a Happy Meal. Happy death. That's what you're getting. But that's real important about your biology. And melanin is very important. When you talk about cytotoxic, melanin can be cytotoxic if all of a sudden you're around a lot of lead, a lot of cadmium, and they're in a lot of things. When you eat white rice, you increase the cadmium content. And what it does with melanin, it moves the zinc out. Zinc, you remember talking about sex, zinc, there's the sex, Europeans is always, everything's sex. Anyway, let me go on to the next slide. Okay. So what is the solution? Some of the solutions to this stuff. And I came up with some of the things, and this is, if you're not a vegetarian, if you're a semi-vegetarian, this is my chart. You know, I asked the sister the other day, in the United States, there is a chart for the United States diet, how you're supposed to eat. And I don't know what they got in the UK, but everybody tell you got to eat so much of this, so much of that. But the difference between my chart and the European chart is that I included the sun at the apex. So when we're talking about melanin and biology, I'm just at the grassroots level. There's higher spiritual levels that we'll talk about later. But the mere fact, this is what I show. Meditation is food. It is food. The more you meditate, you don't have to meditate. I put, 5, 15 minutes ain't a long time, but it's food because you're more relaxed and your body ain't wound up and it don't need more of these other things. 2, the exercise that's in the pyramid. Now, United States, this is totally absent in the pyramid to tell you what you should eat. Water, herbal tea, fruit. Water, I don't even drink. If you try to drink less juice and eat, you want to eat the fruit and drink the water. You're 75% water, it makes sense to put 75% in. Grains, bread, leafy vegetables. And if you notice I went down here, I talked about what you should do. You should switch when it's summer and winter. Because there's different biological processes of your body that changes what happens in the winter. Probably a lot of times people eat a lot of high breads and a lot of sugar and a lot of sweets at that point during the winter. Well, I'm gonna give you another one. Now, what they were looking at is I won this bodybuilding contest in November. And this person said, well, what did you eat? Because I literally, yes. Oh, okay, all right. Now, I only got 12 books, so I got 5 charts in there. And what happened, so decreased grains and meat in the summer and the spring. Okay, your body just don't need the fat in it. Your body's slowing down. I always tell people the basic concept of gaining some weight, just understand the process. When melatonin is relaxing you, you eating all this food at night, and the body, that means your whole biological system slow down. So why are you eating all of this fat at night? Your biggest meal should be at lunch. And then as you head toward the evening, you should really decrease your snacks, lettuce, vegetables, and all that whole thing. And speaking of vegetables, when you get your plate, your basic concept is put your black plate, and you put some green and put some red on it. Y'all understand what I'm talking about. And you can't do it for everybody. Do it for yourself first. Because what would happen, people say, well, you got a black plate. Africa represents the people, green is, the green, and well, I want one of those black plates. But you teach from the table. So when I actually dropped the most body fat, maintained muscle, and won this contest over 40 years old, because you can stall the aging process based on how you take care of your body. And I don't mean starve, I mean eat. That's basically what I did. No big thing, no sweat. But if you notice, I put African-related readings in there. That was part of my advantage, I think, because I had a different mindset when I went in on my diet. Part of your diet is to read something 30 to 60 minutes a day. You ain't got to read for 5 hours. You just got to be consistent with it. So ultimately, you got all these books on African history, and you say, well, you ain't got to that one yet. You got to put them in a row and say, well, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there. At the end of the year, you probably only went to 12 books. But it's like exercise, it got to be consistent. Okay, so anyway, that's what I do. I don't know if y'all can tell. Millet is one of the oldest grains you can find, especially in Africa itself. Millet is the highest in iron, okay, magnesium, calcium, potassium. But they got y'all eating white rice. Okay, then I want to finish with some slides, just some last few slides. And in the workshop, I will talk about how to do that. This is actually millet. Okay, gather hunters. I mean, we have to. How do you go shop for food now? Oh, we gotta turn this on. How do you go shop for food? You go to the refrigerator. You get in your car, go to the store. You get out the car, and you go in there and pick it. That's your fight. Instead of your hunting and gathering, and they ain't doing no work. And in that sun and gathering food, your skin gonna blacken up. And one of the things I did, I took a lot more pictures than this that I didn't bring, right? To show the difference between people having cellulite. There ain't no drugs to get rid of it. You need to get in your sun and change your diet. Okay, but sun helps life. There ain't no wrinkles on it. The woman on the left, from what I understand, was actually 40 years old. Skin beautiful. So that's the gatherers. Okay, that's the gatherers itself. Okay, and the meat was through 3%. And what we saw through our eyes is color, organic market. You know, organic market. There ain't no processing the food. So you got to start reading labels. Now, don't tell me I got to read again. That's part of your reading process. John Henry Clark said, if you want to keep something away from black folks, put it in the book, because they ain't going to read it. You read more about African history, knowing you turn around and look at a label, it's killing you. And you say, well, you know, white man this, white man that. And you turn around, you eating white man's poisons. That is counter-revolutionary. I start from a point of saying, in order to fight a revolution on some level, everybody ain't going to be out there in the front. But somebody got to tell you, what you can do when you leave here today is reevaluate your refrigerator. Because, see, European might be slipped in your refrigerator in your cabinets. And you sitting under light. Otherwise, you wouldn't have all these heart disease. If you was real clear about that. Oops. And don't tell me that I don't want to go to the gym because I'm going to get muscles. You got to understand who I am first. Who I am. I got to have muscle. Because I got to do some work. I have more muscle on this. You want to get rid of body fat, weight train at this point. I mean, if you can't do it, you can do a lot. I got a lot of exercise. You don't have to even go to a gym. But I'll show you those exercises, basic ones you should do. But you can't go around saying, well, I don't want no muscle. That looks masculine. I ain't saying you got to look like those women on drugs, on TV. I'm talking about muscle. And guess who's getting the work, brunt of that work? Little baby on the back. It gets the rhythm. Okay? It gets what you get. It gets exercise in a whole different way. And in there, no processing, you sift the grain, and guess who's on the back again? Because we're talking about child conference. Okay? And even our beer, this is a picture I took in this ritual that was going on and using Zulu beer. That was made from millet. Okay? None of the preservatives, just straight beer. It was only 2 to 3% alcohol. So there's a difference even in people drinking. People that walk around drinking Zulu beer all the time for ceremonial purposes. Okay? But it's changing. Okay, it's changing. And when you eat well, and you take care of your body, you think this sister here got, we got to talk about white supremacy again. I hate to use that word, but I'm going to talk about it because it's all in your house and it's in your body. You think her toothpaste is white? What color is your toothpaste? Does it have to be white? Y'all ain't asked no questions. That's a subliminal message through your body to say white is better. Because traditional toothpaste, even in Japan, is black. It's made out of charcoal eggplant. You can go to a store and literally look at it, it's black. So who told you that white toothpaste would make your teeth whiter? Now this sister don't know nothing about no Pepsodent, no Crest. Your first medical exam. Are you debating? That's your first medical exam. Is this person okay? Can I take them? Let me look at your teeth and your eye. Let me look at all those things. Then the next step, so the brother says, and they sold us like beasts, and they counted our teeth, and they felt our testicles, and they tested the luster and dullness of my skin. That was your physical exam. And then the food that they gave you during the middle passage, what was the food that they're giving you? Are we still eating the food that they've given us? We're not selecting, they're saying this is better, so you go and eat it. Same food, the same concept. If somebody's giving you, so they didn't bring our food with us. They didn't say, they didn't know about our biology and the whole thing. I don't know if most of y'all know about the Tuskegee experiment. And when I'm talking about biological ignorance, and if they don't know about you, they can experiment on you. Okay, just roughly the Tuskegee experiment was 20 years from 1932. They actually gave these brothers what they thought was a cure for syphilis, and they didn't give them anything until they were busted in 1972. Okay? So they're still experimenting on you, and I'm going to show you how they're still doing it. So they call it, this came out of the government. It says marketing booze to black. They got to market to you. They got to get you to drink it. That's the reason why there's malt liquor at a higher level in your community, in European communities. Okay? Because you don't drink more, but you got to get addicted so I can get you to that level. So they're playing God right now. Brother talks about biological engineering. That's the biggest thing you better worry about. And you better look at organic food and start moving that way. Because they're changing those tomatoes, they're changing those bananas. And where I live at, 20 minutes away, they actually are taking a gene out of a flounder fish that lives in cold weather and put it in the tomato so it can live. A tomato can be raised throughout the year. They're also doing research on saying, let me just make human hemoglobin and let pigs, I can draw their blood and make human hemoglobin. And can I get it out of a pig instead of humans? That's where they're at. That's really why you got mad cow's disease. And some of y'all, I don't want to scare nobody, but they say mad cow's disease can last for a year till it manifests itself. So I don't know if y'all been eating any of that beef, but I don't know if they even they're going to charge you for taking a test though. And this sister, you can't see this one, but it's. They're playing God, and they got to go to your blackness to find out. I just want to show you that, because they're going to deal with those symbolism behind this. But they got to go to you to look. And I just want to point this out for the next slide. This is the DNA. Of course, that's the hieroglyphs. This is a computer chip. Sister here. In that article, when I pulled it out, this is about melanin. When you see something dark, you see a hieroglyph, I better look at this and see what's going on. Wasn't nothing about black folks in there at all. They weren't even talking about what the picture was about. So today, they still don't know who you are. And they got to go get you. They got to go get me some melanin. You think I'm joking? They got to find out what the key is. They got to find out what the key is. You think I'm joking? This is a melanin. See, I'm a part owner in a gym, and I sell suntans. Everybody, and it sounds strange, but I sell suntans. I tell people how to suntan. In a booth, you see no suntan booths? They're like coffins. Bulbs at the bottom, bulbs at the top. You get in, you close it like a coffin. Sisters say you got to go back to the womb. That's what they're doing. I don't know. But anyway, this is a number one product I sell. Because I'm studying melanin, so I get the products with melanin in it. It says extreme, extra strength tan maximizing lotion with melanin. Melanin is in it. It ain't out of your skin pigment, but they can go and grab the molecules and hook it up so they can produce synthetic melanin. They might not need you no more. I like to use Richard Pryor's thing. He said they got them some new niggas. And that ain't no joke. So anyway, they got to go and grab and see what's happening with you. So they're trying to figure out why, white men can't run. Now y'all saw the movie White Men Can't Jump. Now they're trying to figure out why they can't run. And this whole article went into the muscle biopsy. They were pulling muscle tissues out and analyzing it, trying to figure out what is it in you. And in melanin, there's a product called ATP that melanin stores. And ATP is just the energy out of the mitochondrial cell. It allows you to spark and move. Okay? Today, this is bringing everything up to date biologically they don't know about you. This was a sister who wrote a comment in Health Magazine. The Genome Project is a $15 billion project to map out the genes. And look what she says. She says, look, most research funded by the Genome Project is based on the DNA of just 61 extended families, all of whom happen to be Caucasian. As the oldest human population, Africans and their descendants are also known to be by far the most genetically diverse. Dunstan says if the DNA from blacks isn't included, critical variation may go undetected. This is why melanin is important in your knowledge. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because if you don't know who your body is, you're going to head toward the degeneration, not optimum health. So anyway, wake up everybody, no more sleeping in bed. Because this is what's happening right here. Diabetes, all this. This is from United States statistics. I like to take a look at the UK. Black folks in the United States are only 12% of the population. So how can you have 132% higher diabetes of deaths? And it just at the bottom, there was excess deaths. 60,000 black folks didn't have to die if they took care of themselves. And so what will happen is they got to look at light now. They're coming back. I don't know if you see the whole thing. It says light, medicine of the future. They're now looking at light and say, how can light help me in my hormones and get me medicine? So what does it mean to you for those folks who got it? Okay. They know that sunlight speeds elimination of toxic chemicals. More body fat you have on yourself, more toxins that you would keep for a longer period of time. They know 10 years you can keep body fat on you. DDT has been shown in biopsy samples in people. So we need to be warriors, we need to be fierce, and we need to protect ourselves. And we need to love ourselves. This is a woman, menstrual rites of passage. So that's all health, okay? This is healthy. And we need to go back to our traditional healers. This is in South Africa, the Muti market, they call it. And the Muti market is where all the African traditional healer herbs and spices and things that you use for healing. This is a drugstore. I'm walking down the street, I get my fruit, get my herbs, and keep walking. Okay, so you need to go back to traditional healing, holistic healing itself. And we got to jump. That means we got to move. We got to move. You can't sit still and not move and didn't expect to liberate your body from white supremacy. Interesting thing, in your body there's white fat and brown fat? I'll let y'all figure out what it does, but I'll give you a hint. One gives you energy and one don't. So I say you got to fight white supremacy. I do a whole lecture just on fighting white supremacy from the inside out. And I just deal with the body. And I just tell you where those things that's not melanated is taking over your body. This is South Africa, a traditional healer jumping in the midst of one of his ceremonies. But jumping is the same. I like jump rope. It's cheap. You ain't got to have a gym. It only costs $11 for a jump rope. Learn how to do it. And then we need to hear our own systems. We need to hear our beat. In certain traditional healer countries, you literally were going in to a particular village, and what will happen is that they will play the drum first before they administer any herbs or any other thing, because they figured you was out of sync with the sound that was traditional in that village. And then the last part is that we got to go back and protect and maintain a healthy lifestyle for our kids. And we need to be in love on the complementary viewpoint. And we need to see our colors, because the melanin allows you to sharpen and you see a little bit brighter colors. That's the reason why your TV is black. And we need to go back and drink from which we came. That's my son. And when I got to South Africa, the sister says, "What's that contraption you pushing the kid in?" Hey. She said, "You ain't giving that boy no feelings." I know how to carry a baby. Now, you think something strange in Africa, let a male walk around with a baby on her back. It becomes everybody looking. But that's all right here, but they say that's cool. But what are you pushing your kids? I mean, I had to be brought back to reality. I wouldn't push it everywhere, but all of a sudden she said, "This is what we do." And my kid was, screaming, crying, blah, 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 blah. Put that baby there. That baby's just said, shut up, and was happy. And she was working all day long, and that baby was just sitting there. And then only then, when we can come back to what we need to eat, how we need to move our body, how we need to view our body, that we can become